Alright, what's up guys, Fuffin here, and this is the TeamFight Tactics patch 11.2 rundown, discussion, and all that. This one is actually being done live on my YouTube channel, so if you ever want to catch these, just tune in on my streams on, the day that the patch notes come out, and I'll probably be doing a rundown on there. So, without further ado, this is the set 4.5 mid-set expansion update, and yeah, I guess we'll just talk about it. So here's like the cheat sheet. So I'll probably go into this more in a separate video if you guys want, where I can actually describe all of the changes. There's just a lot, and it feels like a lot of information to be thrown at you, but yeah. So got new little legends, adorable as always. New arenas, these look pretty cool, not gonna lie, but nothing to do with me. Fates Pass, again, all new stuff, just all new stuff. I'm gonna skip until we actually get to the stuff that matters. Okay. Grandmaster and Challenger ranked changes. I actually haven't heard about this. To make Race 2 Grandmaster and Challenger more exciting, we've unlocked change the unlock boxes. Challenger and Grandmaster are still limited to the top of each server, but players must have at least 200 LP in Master to reach Grandmaster, and 500 LP in Grandmaster to reach Challenger. Grandmaster and Challenger are no longer locked at the start of the season, so the race to the region starts on day 1. Okay, I mean, I'm not a Challenger player, so that doesn't have much to do with me. Region, Challenger, and Grandmaster quota adjusted requirements. Okay. So alright, so it looks like NA is actually getting more Challenger and Grandmaster slots. This is something that I thought we definitely needed for a while. I don't know why we kept lowering it, but I'm really happy. Okay, so Fates rank stage 2 begins this patch. So yeah, everybody has their soft reset. So yeah, if you're gold 2, you go down to silver 2. Very good at the game, placed in master or above, you'll be reset to diamond 4. Yep. You'll get 5 provisional matches. You'll not lose any LP for sub top 4 placements in your first 5, but you'll also gain LP for finishing top 4. So it's basically the new provisionals. Ranked rewards coming to a patch near you. Don't get too emotional. Rank rewards for gold and above coming next patch. So that's cool. Lanterns. You get a prize, you get a prize, everybody gets a prize. Lanterns are the new mid-set mechanic that can drop at various times or not at all. They contain things like item components, loaded dice, and gold and more. Okay. So yeah, basically what this is during a random point in your game, well, not a random point. At the moment, it is after a carousel, up until stage 5, in which they will no longer be available. So here, basically, if you have after the first carousel, not the opening carousel, the first carousel, everybody will get dropped a new loot orb that will basically be able to give you a amount of gold. There are consumables in the game now, and items, but everyone will get the same things. So basically, it allows you to just kind of like have more options for things if they do appear, and the later that they appear, the more prizes you will get from them. You can get like 2 components, 2 consumables, and like 2 gold or something. So this is definitely something that people are gonna have to learn to play around, and I intend to make an entire video on how to use the lanterns and sort of how the new way that I think that people should be approaching the set. Okay, chosen shot odds, consistency buff. I mean, you know, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not gonna touch that one with a fucking pole. Remove the all defensive carousel from the first carousel. Replace it 2 sword, 2 bow, 1 glove version. Okay. I mean, this is good. Nobody liked the defensive carousel. Especially now that Riven's gone and that there's not really tank carries anymore like that. It's very, very good that they're doing this change. I'm 100% behind this change. I love it. It's great. It's awesome. Thumbs up from me. Okay, so we have the new traits. So this is where I'm going to be very briefly trying to discuss everything because I don't want to make a whole video on it. So the Dragon Soul trait, basically the first Dragon Soul champion that gets hit receives a buff. And this buff gives them bonus damage and like attack speed. Yeah, spell power and attack speed, right? Because there's 2 of them that are mages and a bunch that are tanks, and then there's like a Tristana who's a sharpshooter. So it's a very weird trait, but in essence what happens is if you have that, you have that buff, and when that unit who is holding the buff dies, it's transferred to the closest Dragon Soul. So in essence, the way that you want to be playing this comp is that you want to have something that dies very quickly, and try to keep it close to your, other Dragon Soul, so that it can, transfer that buff over. But personally, I don't think that going 6 or 9 Dragon Soul is usually going to be very possible. But there's this one's a really dicey one. I think 3 Dragon Soul is perfectly fine, but it's just a lot of extra work and positioning to try and make it really, really work. And there's better things that you could build with the boss monsters of the Dragon Soul comp, and I'll get into that a little bit later. So Fabled, basically when I get, if I get to the champions, their abilities are just empowered. Like, they just have empowered abilities. So like Nico, for instance, she'll fire, their little seedling or whatever, and then it'll pop, a couple times, and basically it does more damage. Cho'Gath does his, knock up or whatever. Well, Cho'Gath's knock up is going to hit the entire map, quite literally the entire map. And then Nautilus does his little knock up, and then he gains like a shield or something. So, if you want to knock up the whole map, want to get an extra shield, and want to do more damage, then you run these 3 together, which, I mean, is possible to be doing. Executioner's attacks. Executioner is kind of like a B trait. Like, if anyone remembers Valkyrie, it was like something that you could put in, but that wasn't really necessary. This is a sort of the same situation as Dragon Soul is, where the champions that you run because of this are not like good, like because of this. A lot of the 4-cost champions can stand on their own really, really fine without most of their traits, so just keep that in mind when you play, because most of the time if you're running the executioners, whether it's like Zaya or Kale, you're probably not going to actually be running the executioner trait, especially not at a 3 or a 4. So we have next up Slayer. Slayers gain lifesteal that gets stronger as their own health decreases, and they deal bonus damage that scales up based on their target's missing health. So yeah, I mean, it is what it says. The Slayers are generally like pretty decent, but going for 6 Slayers is a little bit of a bait, because you start to run really inefficient units for whatever you're trying to run. And in this set, running strong units is really, really important. Like, running strong units last set was really important, but you can have like a hodgepodge team of just random strong units and you'll be winning fights, especially with just the system changes with getting items and stuff. So you know, that's something that definitely needs to, you know, be addressed with that one too. Siphoner. So this one is a fun one. All allies heal for some of the damage that they deal for spells and attacks. So basically, this is similar to Celestial from Galaxies, with the exception that in Galaxies, the Celestial champions, and I'll use Celestial and Siphoner interchangeably here if you get confused. In Galaxies, the Celestial champions were varied. You had Rakan, that was like kind of a tank. You had Xin Zhao, that was a tank. And then you had like Lulu, who was like a mystic, like basically like a Lilia. However, now in this, all of the Siphoners are drain tanks. So you have like Nasus, who has a damage over time. You have Vladimir, who just AoE heals himself. You have Swain, who does a bunch of damage. Then you have Morgana, who like is still the same champion. She's just now a Siphoner. And so this is a very, very good trait. Very splashable, and the champions are all really, really synergetic with the trait. Celestial had its issues with maybe running inefficient champions. There's not going to be a situation in which you're able to actively run a Siphoner that you wouldn't really want to. Like if it's beneficial to run Siphoner at that moment, you're going to not lose anything by running a champion that doesn't benefit off of Siphoner. The exact opposite of things like Dragon Soul and Executioner. So that's why I personally really like it. And if you get a Siphoner chosen early and get 4 Siphoners, usually you're going to get like top 3, at least at this time. So Daredevil. Samira makes her debut and Ornn makes their debut. So Samira basically has to attack 8 times, and then they'll shield every 2 shots or whatever, and then they'll do their fucking ability. I'll discuss it when I get there. So Nasus, Divine Siphoner. Nasus's ultimate deals damage based on the enemy's percent health and slowing their attack speed and movement speed. So this is really, really crazy because he can pretty much take a unit out of the fight for the next, 5 seconds. 5 seconds is a long time, and yeah, he's a pretty good unit. And the fact that he's a divine also lets him like break out of stuff, and it lets him do bonus damage. He can be a very strong unit early game. You just have to make sure that you keep up with his strength. Tristana, Dragon Soul Sharpshooter. She just increases her attack speed, and then deals magic damage. So she's pretty much like Aphelios and Zaya. Aphelios from last set being set 4, and then Zaya from Galaxies, where they just get increased attack speed. So there are comps that you can run Tristana in, but they're mostly Dragon Soul comps. Tristana reroll is like okay, but again, I'll discuss some of the comps in a later video. Brand, Dragonfire Pillar. After a brief delay, Brand erupts the ground under an enemy with the highest health in flames, dealing bonus damage, or dealing damage to enemies within. If an enemy's caught within the epicenter, they're stunned. So I'm going to talk about this right now. I just played a game where I tried to run vaguely something similar to the Nami reroll, and I don't know if there's like a bug or something, but he does not activate Ludens on every cast of the Mage like Nami does. So if you're trying to run a comp like that, just be aware that there may be a bug with Brand right now. So that's just what I'll say on that. Besides that, I mean, he's mostly a bot for Aurelion Soul, because Aurelion Soul is also a Dragon Soul mage. But, I mean, early game, he's definitely decent, and he's a great item holder. Vladimir, actually not a vampire, still sparkles when given items. Weird. Cultist Siphoner, Tier 2, Transfusion. Vladimir deals damage to his target, and all of his allies right around him in 1 hex, I believe, are healed for 40% of the damage dealt. This is a very good thing, because you can put Vladimir right behind your front line and have like a full front line. So, for example, you can have like Nasus Wukong, Vladimir, and then anything else. And so basically he'll have Divine, Siphoner, and you'll have, 2 melees, but you'll also have this somewhat ranged thing healing them nonstop. It's really, really nice, and, that's just one way that you're actually able to have, okay, hold on, I was confusing myself for a second. That's just one way that you're able to have, the ability to run more frontline units now, instead of having to run like more backline units. So it is allowing you to have more ways to play the game, and he is also a cultist, so cultist becomes a little bit more accessible early, so you'll just have to be aware of that. Alright, we have Braum, Dragon Soul Vanguard. He puts up a shield and reduces damage. He's one of those champions, so you know how those go. He's just going to be hard to kill while his shield's up. Rakan, he dashes to an enemy, basically, and disarms everybody who he runs through. And then he shields himself. So he doesn't do damage, he shields himself. He's basically like a slower Shen. That's just all you have to think about him as. He's just a slower Shen. So if you run him and Shen, you have 2 champions with the same ultimates. Do with that as with what you will. Nautilus, Fabled Vanguard. So this is what I was saying. He just does his little knock up and, stuns, dealing damage, and then, if he's Fabled, then you get your nice little bonus. Sivir, Cultist Sharpshooter. She basically will give everybody attack speed around her, and gives herself attack damage. So it's pretty decent. She pairs really well with Tristana, because Tristana gains attack speed and then Sivir gains attack speed, but Sharpshooters right now are in a little bit of an iffy spot, and Sivir is mostly a bot for Samira, which I'll talk about later. Shyvana, Brawler Dragon Soul. So basically Shyvana's ultimate is that she's going to fly away from enemies, transform into a dragon, and then shoots her fire breath instead of like melee attacking. So it's it's not bad, but she's more used for like the brawler comp, because she can be very good. Like, she can be very good, don't get me wrong. But there's a comp right now, you just play, if you get Brawler Shyvana, Brawler Chosen, you're just going to play a bunch of Brawlers, and then you'll go to level 9, and then you'll switch out of it. So it's definitely something that can be done, but, just be aware that it's not like rArr, how his transform worked, where he'll jump into the fight, and it's not like Elise, where she just kind of stays where she is. She'll actually fly away from the fight and become ranged. So you can definitely try some things. I've seen RFC Shyvana do a lot of work, but just be aware. Darius, Fortune Slayer. Again, the trend of Darius's traits not really doing much for him is back, from Space Pirate Age. And then, he does his dunk and does magic damage. This time, his dunk can't be interrupted, so that's cool. And then, if he gets his reset, he's only going to do a percentage of the damage he would have normally done. So his subsequent dunks will be doing less damage. So, Darius carry might not be what we're looking for anymore. But I've seen it perform a little bit well, at least as an item carrier in the early game. But, Neeko, Fabled Mystic, she throws her seed, it blows up 3 times, and on the third one with her Fabled bonus, it does, 3 times? 2 times? Something damage? It's 2 times for level 1 and 2, but 2.5 for the third one. So, yeah, it'll do a lot of damage, especially if people just stay in the middle of it. There is a build right now, for Vanguard, for Mystic, because Neeko's a Mystic. Jeweled Gauntlet, IE, or Jeweled Gauntlet, then either GA or Blue Buff, or maybe Gunblade. Just generally, those are the things that you can use on this. And, you know, she'll do a lot of damage. She won't, like, one-shot teams. Like, some people were, like, freaking out because she was a little bit stronger earlier. But she'll do a pretty good amount of damage pretty fast. She's a great mix between what Cassiopeia was in Galaxies, where she was just a slow burn, and then a mix of what Ahri is, where Ahri just would nuke the entire team. So she's pretty much in between there. It's a pretty fun build, and, you know, you can try it out. Kale, Divine Executioner. Kale's back. She just will transform, stay in place, and then deal bonus damage. She's pretty good. Still, she's pretty good. I would just, if you're playing her, I would try to ignore her traits a little bit. Divine is great for her, yeah, but like I said before, Executioner is kind of iffy. You can run the 2 Executioner, definitely, but I wouldn't try to go for like a 4 Executioner build. It's kind of a bait. Olaf. So Olaf, he gains attack speed, immunity to crowd control, and his axe is cleave in a cone in front of him for a decent bit of physical damage. He's pretty much Warwick's replacement. You slap a fucking a RFC on him, and he becomes ranged, and he will just tear shit apart. Absolutely nuke shit. So, you know, he can be pretty strong. He's also a Dragon Soul, remember that. So, if he does get the Dragon Soul buff, he's going to be doing that extra magic damage based off of his attack speed that he's going to gain. He's also a Slayer, which means that if he gets to low health, he's going to be healing up. He's literally Warwick on crack. He's even got the, you know, the immunity to crowd control that Warwick got from fucking Divine. So, yeah. If there wasn't things that was stronger than Olaf, that could kill Olaf in one hit, Olaf would definitely be worse than Warwick. But Warwick needed a whole lot less to activate. Dragon Soul and Slayer are both 3-piece traits, while Warwick had, you know, 3 traits that were activated by 2. So it's a whole lot harder to fit Olaf into your comps, but if you make a comp around Olaf, you'll find some success. But this is one I would watch out for on the nerf list for 11.3. Aurelian Soul. Okay. So, Dragon Soul Mage. Basically, he shoots a big explosion line, and then he does damage. And then he will mark these champions. And then if he damages them again, the damage is bonus. So, there's only bad times where he'll ult 2 different things. Because remember, he's a mage. So he's going to immediately ult twice. But for anything directly in front of him that gets hit by them twice, no matter what, you know, that's going to be completely fine. If he ults the same target twice and hits the entire team, he will delete the entire team. Make no mistake. Especially because the mage traits and everything have been changed. On live, it is 3, 6, and 9 to activate mage traits. For now, on what will be live tomorrow, it is 3, 5, and 7. So do with that information what you will. It's a whole lot easier to get 7 mage. And while the numbers were adjusted to account for this, 7 mage is still definitely decent. Alright, we have Zaya. So basically, she leaps into the air, becomes untargetable, invulnerable, and then she throws out a bunch of daggers, and then as she's on the ground, they'll come back and deal magic damage. So, definitely decent. Zaya is really, really strong, and there's a lot of builds that are working pretty well with her. I've been trying out one with Luden's Echo, being Hannah Justice, Luden's Echo, and GA. So far, it's been doing okay. It's one of the games that got me first on the PvE, and I mean, Elderwood is really, really good. The fact that Zaya is a keeper and Rakan is a keeper, really, really good. I mean, now Elderwoods have keeper possibility, so there's comps that run Elderwoods with Zaya, there's comps that run keepers with Zaya, and there's comps that just run a bunch of random stuff, and then you just throw Zaya in there because why not? So, Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath knocks a bunch of stuff up. And, Fabled bonus, he knocks up all enemies on the board. So, as we were talking about. Tryndamere. So this is really good. We've always wanted a Warlord 4-cost. So, now we have a Duelist Warlord. Again, that means that Duelist is a little bit, better too, by proxy. So, basically, he spins toward the most enemies in the line, dealing percent of his attack damage, and then his next 3 basic attacks deal bonus damage. He's pretty good. I mean, I don't think there's been any real big developments on if he's like that popular or that good. But yeah. And actually, okay, this looks like it's a typo because he should also be a Slayer. So it's a little bit interesting. I'm actually going to take a moment and look for something. Okay, so as I'm reading this, the patch notes have only been out for like 20 minutes, but I'm fairly certain he's also supposed to be a Slayer. So, I don't really know what to tell you guys. I'll put in the description, of what his actual traits are. But if he's not a Slayer, he's an infinitely worse champion. So I'm going to assume that he is a Slayer and talk about him like he is one. Because right now on the PvE, he is one. So, Swain, Dragon Soul Siphoner. He transforms into a dragon for 6 seconds. And then while in dragon form, he gains bonus health, deals magic damage to each enemies, and then, every 2 seconds that deals whatever. I don't know what Swain's deal is. He apparently only transforms once. And it's only for 6 seconds. So, I don't personally like Swain. Ornn. Ornn is pretty much barred from Galaxies on crack. His ultimate actually has use, though. So his ultimate, he just does his ultimate like on Summoner's Rift. A big ram comes flying towards him. He headbutts it and it goes and knocks up enemies. But what we're going to talk about is Blacksmith trait here. So basically, Ornn has a counter system, same as Kayn, only this time it's actually displayed to you. And it is relative to the specific Ornn copy you have. So if you have an Ornn, and then you put in another Ornn, they will have separate counters for this. So basically, Blacksmith, you'll have 4 counters at level 1, 3 counters at level 2, and then 1 counter at the level 3 Ornn. So if you get a level 3 Ornn, you have 1 counter. And every turn you have a counter removed from this, or I guess a counter added. But regardless, every 4 turns at level 1, 3 turns at 2, and then 1 turn at level 3, Ornn will create an item. He will just flat out give you an item. Now, they're not the normal items. They're what's called artifact items, and they have different effects, but they're pretty fucking strong usually. Now, to compensate for this, Ornn is a really weak champion. Ornn is probably on the tier of like a 4-cost, and he's a 5-cost. He's also... This says Blacksmith Elderwood, but he's also supposed to be a Vanguard. So, I don't know what's up with this. If they get rid of his Vanguard thing, it's whatever. Whatever. I'm not going to get into it. But, yeah. So, yeah, there we go. He can give you items, but you can only have 1 artifact item on a champion at a time. So, he can be really good, but if you find him at the end of the game and you don't think that you can farm your 1 item out of him or whatever, if you're too low of health, if you're 20 health and you find an Ornn, you're going to want to pass it up. You don't want to greed for that because he's about as strong as a 4-cost, like I said, and if you have access to 5 costs, at that point in the game, you can usually find something better to put in, especially if you're not running Elderwood, if you're not running Vanguards. So, That's just what I wanted to say, because this is one of the biggest baits that people take, because the prospect of literally getting free items, just like Fortune, just like, Bard was, just can cause you some issues. Okay, so Samira, Daredevil, Sharpshooter, Slayer. So basically, after she activates her little effect thing, so basically, every 8 autos or something like that, she's going to activate her ultimate. And she dashes and becomes unstoppable, unleashing X amount of shots at 3 enemies within 2.5 hexes for 2 seconds. Each shot deals X amount of physical damage. For the duration, she gains 100% dodge chance. So, yeah, she does a shit ton of damage. But what I found is that, first off, to play this champion, you have to already have Slayer in and you have to already have Sharpshooter in. Without those, she's kind of useless. So, playing the All Legendaries comp is a little bit harder now. I will definitely say that. Just due to these sort of developments. In addition, I think that items such as like Deathblade are great because she can instantly delete 3 people, but you absolutely 100% need a defensive item on her. I'm personally a fan of GA, Hand of Justice, and Titan's Resolve. But that's personally just me, and I think there's probably plenty of better things for Samira. So, removed. Traits, Dazzler, Dusk, Hunter, Moonlight, Shade. The only one I'm sad about is Dusk, because it was splashable, but after playing this enough, I think that there's stuff that's strong enough to probably carry you without, having to just throw in 2 Dusk. Remove champions. Okay, so Lysandra, Silas, Aphelios, Vayne, Thresh, Riven, Cassiopeia, Lilio, Warwick, Ashe, Lux, Ezreal, Evelynn, Kayn, Nami, Hecarim, Jinx, Xin Jin, Ahri. So, what I will say is that I'm sad to see Kayn go. And fuck Nami. I'm happy to see her finally gone too. Adjustments. So, Assassins. 2 Assassin is worse now. Congratulations. 6 Assassins is better. Brawlers. Now, in addition to health, they gain bonus AD. So, Brawler's health goes down a little bit because of that. Galio's health. Galio's health goes down a little bit. Galio's AD goes up a little bit. Now, people have been saying to try to run a 9 cultist Galio comp. Go for it. Please be in my game so I can get free LP. Because 6 cultist. 6 cultist is where you want to be right now. You don't want to go to 9 cultist anymore at all. It just does not work. Jin's gone, so can't really run the things that you want to. Yeah, so Duelist attack speed's going up at most ranks. This is good. I think Duelist needed a little bit, but it's still to the point where you need to have 4 Duelist to be able to run Duelist early, let alone for the rest of the game. Elderwood, their stuff is just getting reverted a little bit. Now that Elderwood has keepers, you don't need this. You don't need this. Especially keeper on a carry. Yeah, we're good. Enlightened. So, Enlightened lost a champion and didn't get one to compensate, which means that to get 6 Enlightened, you need to have, a Chosen. So, if you do get a Chosen, 6 Enlightened, the Enlightened comp is good again. Talon doesn't have his reset shit like always, but at 150%, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. Morgana being a drain tank is also really good, so... Fortune is getting a little bit of a nerf, just to win, mostly win streaking Fortune, but, again, everybody who sees this knows my opinion on Fortune. Don't play it. It's a bait. You'll lose. So, Keeper shields are going up, right? No. That doesn't seem right. Okay, no, Keeper shields are going down. I thought I saw somewhere that keeper shields were getting buffed, but that could have been reverted. So it looks like according to the patch notes, keeper shields are going down. Keeper is a little bit more accessible, and one of the keepers being Zaya. Well, actually, Zaya and Rakan are both range champions. Actually, all of the keepers are range champions now that I think about it. Every single keeper champion in the game is range now. That's kind of wild. Cool. So they just get less shield, I guess. Which means that you don't have to try and build static shiv against them, because why not? Mage, double casting, breakpoints reworked. Yep, so like I said, it goes from 369 to 357, meaning you need 2 less champions to deal with it. And they still have Spat and Chosens. So it's very possible to only be running 4 mages and to have the highest thing being 7. So enjoy. And then the spells power are going to these. I mean, it doesn't matter. If you run a 7 mage comp with Double Drill Gauntlet, i.e. Aurelion Soul, he's going to delete the entire team. Mystic Mage Magic Resist is going up, and you know that's good. Like I said, the Nico comp is pretty decent right now, so Sharpshooter number of bounces is going up. I'll say this right now. Sharpshooter fucking sucks. Don't play it. If you're going to play Sharpshooter, you just play Samira. That's it. Get like a Teemo or something early. Move it into a Sivir. And then you just play Samira at the end of the game. Because you're not going to want to commit a bunch of champions to this, because you've lost Jhin and you've also lost Jinx. So by losing both Jhin and Jinx, kind of have some issues. Samira is great. Samira is just a bad sharpshooter. She benefits off the trait, yes, but she doesn't benefit much off the bouncing. You can easily pull back some of this, such as if you were just going to get, you know, your 2 sharpshooter trait. If you wanted the benefit of the 4 sharpshooter trait, put a Runons on Samira. Trust me, you'll thank me later. It's so much better. Damage reduction per bounce going up. Again, I think sharpshooters fucking suck right now, so I wouldn't even consider this a comp at the moment. You can think of it as something early, but I would completely get it out of your mind to attempt to play this comp like it was before. Alright, Spirit rework. Spirit will now grant flat attack speed the first time a unit casts. So, basically what this means, as Diana is a spirit, as you can see lower on the screen, you want to try to, I mean, it lets you play Kindred. It lets you play Kindred now. But there's no more 4-cost spirit, so it's easy to get 4 spirit early. It's just a little bit less beneficial. So, you know, it's kind of, the jury's kind of out right now on if it's going to be worth it. Warlord's health is going up. Warlords are finally a comp. 9 Warlords is one of the strongest things in the game. I'm not really going to talk much more about it. If you get Warlord openings, they're fucking huge now. Like, they're just good. So, enjoy. Warlord opener is now probably on par with Cultist opener, assuming that you can get it stacking. Vanguard armor bonus is going down. However, Vanguards are getting magic resist. So you get 4 Vanguards, you get almost the equivalent of 2 Mystic. So enjoy. Again, Vanguard Mystics are pretty decent. My opinion is that Brawlers are still better. So take with that what you will. Champion changes. Diana is now a Spirit Assassin. Diana's health is going up. Her attack speed's going up. Pale Cascade going up. Pale Cascade shield going up. Number of orbs. And then Fiora's stuns going up. Fiora's thing is going to health, which I don't like that as a chosen thing. And then Nidalee's mana's going down. So the only one I really like here is like Fiora, but I don't like the chosen thing. They're trying to change a lot of those chosen things to be not the other things, but I'd prefer this be attack speed because that'd be beautiful. All right, Janna's mana is going, just, you know, it's getting shifted. It's still roughly the same, but, you know, Enlightened is getting a buff, right? Enlightened's getting a pretty big buff. So these are all pretty much like compensation changes. The champions don't really have any changes to them. The champions are just having these numbers adjusted. So I don't want people to see like, oh, Janna's getting a 10 mana nerf. No, Janna's actually getting buffed if you're still running her in like 4 Enlightened comps. But if not, yes, it's a very slight buff. But this is like the equivalent of like an auto attack of mana generated. Alright, Pyke's traits goes from Cultist Assassin to Cultist Assassin Slayer. And as such, he just gets a little bit, you know, of a nerf. And it's not even like a big nerf. Like it's like a 10 mana nerf. So, and then he gets a damage nerf. But nobody was running Pyke for the damage. He would be able to be ran with the extra Slayer, but, you know, Pyke is still a really good champion. Even better now, even still as splashable. Teemo's damage is just going down at level 1. This is fine. Nobody fucking ran Teemo for the damage. We all ran it because it counters Duelist early. It counters fucking... counters like a lot of attack speed things in the mid game. And yeah, so... counters other sharpshooters. So, I mean... there it is. Again, another reason why fucking... sharpshooters are not shit right now. Zed, Ninja Shade, and Ninja Slayer. Again, like we said, Shade was removed. So, Zed's a Slayer, and his attack speed's going up. There are comps that run Zed, and they're pretty decent. They mostly just run the Slayer variants, but it's mostly like 4 Ninja or like 3 Slayer. I think 6 Slayer's still a bait. So, just be kind of careful with that. The items that you run on him is still generally the same, but it can outclass a lot of comps. Zed is pretty strong, and Zed is back. Kalista attack speed 0.9 and rArr 1.0. Whoever's in charge of the proofreading this shit, tell him to try better next time. Katarina Death Lotus tooltip fix. Apparently it was displaying something wrong. Kindred traits, Spirit Hunter to Spirit Executioner. I mean, this is fine. Executioner's just about as good as Hunter was on her, but you're not really going to take an Executioner Kindred like you would have taken a Hunter Kindred. So I would say this is a slight nerf. Unless you're running a Kindred carry build, then by all means, Godspeed. Kindred's damage is getting reduced at 1 and 2. So, you know, it's a little bit less strong early. There's a lot of things that are less strong early now. My thing would be to tell you to try out all the new champions because they're probably a little bit overtuned on live. Veigar's attack speed's going up. Great. Run attack speed Veigar now. Morgana's getting her stuff, whatever. Aatrox's chains are going up in damage. You can feel this, by the way. You can feel this in the game. This is a pretty good damage buff. And with a lot of the champions that are being put in the corner now, Aatrox is a really good tech champion in a lot of comps. Morgana's traits, Enlightened Dazzler to Enlightened Siphoner. Her Tormented Shadow no longer heals her for a portion of the damage belt, and Spell now reduces enemy attack damage while they remain inside. So she automatically has built-in Dazzler, and her healing goes to Siphoner instead. And no longer shreds magic resist. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I did not realize that they took that away. As far as I wasn't aware, that was still a thing. So Morgana's actually not as good as I was thinking. Because I was making Morgana carry in a lot of comps, but I understand now why I was losing in the latter half of my PvE testing. Sejuani's mana going up again. Sejuani's good. As I said, the Vanguards are pretty good now. Azir's crowd control and Sand Soldiers. Okay, whatever. So Azir's getting nerfed. It's not too big. If you were going to run Azir, you're still going to run Azir. If you weren't going to run Azir, you're still not going to run Azir. Lee Sin's doing less damage. Nobody used him for damage anyway. Yone is getting some pretty sizable nerfs. At least to the Shred. He's a little bit worse of a tank buster, but I don't think this really changes. Because these are pretty much reverts. Like, if you take Yone from 3 patches ago, it's relatively similar. He used to do a shit ton of damage. And then all that. But the difference is he used to knock up. So, yeah. Yone shreds now only lasts for 8 seconds. That never mattered. If you build items for Yone like you normally should, like Blue Buff, Hand of Justice, and Guardian Angel, these changes are practically completely negligible. Especially the last one. Yone no longer deals missing health damage. Instead, the damage will deal a percentage of damage based on the target's missing health. So, just so we're clear, Yone no longer deals damage based on missing health. Instead, it will deal an additional % of damage based on the target's missing health. So, like I said, these aren't big changes in terms of Yone. Turns out, make a bunch of Oro items to empower 1 super carry, and then grab start, whatever. So Chalice is getting nerfed. Giant Slayer's damage is going down. Hand of Justice is going down. Gunblade is going down. Hurricane is going down. Shiv is going up. Zeke's is going down. Zizzirat Portal will gain bonus stats based on the stage. So, Giant Slayer still is really fucking good. This nerf means it means something, obviously. But Giant Slayer is still the way that you're going to be dealing with big shit. It's just a little bit less so now. Hand of Justice is probably the most versatile item in the game right now, so definitely worth slamming at all opportunities in the early game. Shiv gets bonus bounces or whatever. This is good to deal with keepers. If you're up against a keeper team and you have the items for Shiv, then go for it. Go crazy. But as far as the other stuff, Locket isn't on this list because Locket is already pretty bad. Locket has officially become pretty bad. And in addition to that, now all of these are not pretty bad. Some of these are still decent. I think Chalice is pretty fucking good still. But these are a little bit less good. A little bit less good, definitely. But yeah, anyway, that'll be it for me. This was the patch 11.2 rundown, live streamed here on YouTube. If you enjoyed, by all means, come in to one of the live streams when I'm streaming again. I'd be happy to have you here, and we can have a discussion. And, yeah, anyway, that'll be it. Let me know what you guys think about the new patch, and I'll be sure to have some videos out to you pretty soon. Have a good one. Peace.